Good afternoon. This is a video for Shin Arashi Martial Arts. Uh, I was recently asked about naming terminology for hand positions because we are working on such a Wing Chun operating system with, or at least the basis of it was Wing Chun. We end up using a lot of Wing Chun techniques in our basic hand positions. A lot of times you'll hear them called blocks, and some of them are blocks, but that's really simplification or bad translation. Sao is at the end of almost all of them. Sao means hand. If you hear, so for example, Pak Sao would be slapping hand or palm block. And if you hear Pak Da or Tan Da or Bil Da, anything with Da at the end, Da is a hit. It's not specific. It could be a vertical punch, a horizontal punch, an elbow. It could technically be a kick or knee. Normally you'll hear Gek for kick, so it's like a Pak Gek. But then again, at the same time, sometimes you'll hear the Gek being for the leg, and so this would be a Tan Gek, Bong Gek. So that's kind of, you'll very rarely hear that. So being upfront, my Wing Chun instructor, Ed Skinner, was kind of a good old boy, and he did not use a lot of the Chinese terminology. And I don't know how much that was him and how much his teacher, Tony Ragasa Fong, who was half Chinese, I don't think he was a native Chinese speaker. Okay, I don't think he grew up speaking Chinese. His mother, if I understand the story correctly, was Chinese, or he just didn't use it once he got to the States. He grew up in Guam, so once he got to the mainland, I guess. So we're gonna go through, and I'm gonna tell you so all that to say, there will be a few that I rarely use the Chinese name for. I want you to know the Chinese name for them primarily so that way if other people are talking, you kind of got to know what they're talking about, even though some names will be different from school to school, lineage to lineage. And but you'll have an idea. Also, to divorce your mind from thinking of the American name, sometimes giving it a foreign name, be it Japanese or Chinese or Thai or even French or Brazilian. You can, if it's not in your native tongue, it makes you think, it makes you identify the movement with what it is. And so if I say palm block, okay, you can get caught up on it being on the palm. If I say slapping block, you can get caught up on the idea of slapping somebody, right? And both of those are partially true, but it's more of a bouncing energy. So Pak Sao tells you something different. Okay, so the very first two I want to talk about are Men Sao and Wu Sao. The lead hand is your Men Sao, your asking hand. Your rear hand is your Wu Sao, your guarding hand. Generally speaking, when I started teaching, there were a lot of people in Wing Chun that were doing it real high and real low. Okay, one for mid-body and one for face, and sometimes even reversing it. Okay, so I started calling this dragon hands and tiger hands. I think on bare principle that can still be correct. Okay, but because we live in a society that people don't think about body shots. Okay, everything is hit the head, knock them out, hit the head, knock them out. I guess it's ingrained in action movies and boxing matches and even MMA that people forget how deadly body shots can be. So most of the time, unless there's weapons involved, then you're gonna see the Men Sao be rear and in front of the face, and Wu Sao be out. It can be flat, it can be, you can make it partially closed, but you're about 1/5 distance away from the chin, okay? And this is at a comfortable reach out. I'm not reaching, I'm not leaning, I'm not stretched, I'm not straight armed, okay? Just here, my elbows sunk into my body. Man Sao and Wu Sao. Man, Wu, okay? Some of my students have thought that because this is the asking hand, this is the telling hand, and that could be true, but then you don't think about hitting with the lead hand, and we don't want that. We want to be able to hit with both hands. Okay, so Pak Sao. We'll go to Pak Sao next because it's the most versatile, and we're going to talk about the ways it's different from Wu Sao. Wu Sao for me is a static position, though it could be receiving something and letting it flow to one side. Pak Sao is slapping at it, okay? It normally, you want to slap it at the center line and move it over to the side, but you can go as far as nipple line, okay? Pak Sao. Pak Sao can transfer energy from one hand to the other. Pak Sao can be a Pak Da. Okay. These could be Jarns. Elbows could Jarn. So it could be Pak Jarn. Okay. Now, let's see. Staying with the open hand shape, Jutsao. Okay. Sinks. You're going to hit here and knock something down. It could be used to strike. It could be used to strike pressure points on the arm. It could be used to strike the back of the head, the temple. But it's just a shock strike. It's not going to do a lot of damage. It's just for shocking. But jut, jerk or jerk hand is what I've heard that called. It's not sinking hand. Okay. So cop. Okay, cutting hand. Sometimes you'll see some people call, instead of just this cutting hand, this can be cutting hand, like a downwards knife hand. I think that is a differentiation in style. So this could be cut, that could be cut. The difference being where the energy is. This cut, okay, both of these can be used to push a bar down, pushing an obstacle down, or to hit. But with this, it's like you're hinging at the elbow and using the tricep to extend the arm. And you could put a little shoulder, a little turn in it. With the other one, the one I prefer is you've made contact and now you're going to shoot down. Okay? It has a more leading energy. All right. So, gum. You'll see gum two different ways. It could be pinning hand, okay, using the knife hand edge to pin hard, okay. It can be used to strike. It's one of the few things that we teach that can strike the sternum and do some good damage. It could hit the neck, okay. It's not really a chop as it is like a palm heel strike, but instead of using the palm heel, using the knife hand edge. And then the other way you'll see gum is a press with the palm, usually a 45-degree both down and forward. Sometimes you'll see it, like a lot of people when they do it at the forearm, they'll do it just straight down. It should be down and forward. You'll see it to the side and see it behind. Those are all gums. I'm sure there is a Chinese differentiation in the naming between front, side, and rear, but I didn't get that. So, those are, I may catch something else from palm. I've got notes, I'll go back and make sure I got everything at the end. I should have written out a script, sorry. Bong. Okay, bong is this rotation of the forearm. Okay? For a lot of times people just thought it was this. No, it rotates this way, putting the ulna bone up and creates an extra wedge. And it just pops things up. Okay? It can pop grabs up, pop strikes up. If I'm here, it is going to be way too slow to get this punch is coming here with a tan. Okay? No. But if I pop it up and make contact, even if he's retracting at this point, my tan rolls over that and I can follow him in. So bong is here. Chicken wing arm or just wing arm. I've also heard it called raising elbow. With that, you've also got the sink of the elbow, raise the elbow. Okay? Again, there may be some different, some people call this sinking motion jam. We call jam something else. All right, so our bong is here, and then usually almost always rotates to tan. Tan is the keel of a ship. It means dispersing hand. Tan sao would be dispersing hand. So imagine you've got a ship, and it's, normally I do this with a boken that's got a wedge to it. So imagine this has got a wedge, and here's your ship, and it's going along. Waves are not smacking the front of the ship like they would if this was round or flat, but if it's wedged, it makes the waves go off this way. So this keel position, there's two ways to get to it, jam or tan. And tan's got a couple methods. The most common method you'll see, go shoe fly, don't bother me. Okay, that looks giant on screen for a second. Tan, the most simple way is an opening tan or an outwards tan. It stays here on the center line, okay? It could press out, okay? It could thrust out, okay? Any one of those three ways, it's a tan, and it's going to mostly be dealing with stuff on the radial side, okay? Jam comes in. It's sinking this elbow to come to the center, and that's when stuff is dealt with the radial ulnar side of the arm. There's lots of footwork involved. There's shift to tan, shift to jam, pivot, tan, pivot, jam, okay? Because it stays here in the center, you'll have to move you, okay, as opposed to moving the arm. Now, if it goes beyond, okay, this is chun, and it should have the same bouncing energy, I mean spring. So it should have the same bouncing energy as bong or pak, but just outwards, okay? In Nehanchi, which is the Okinawan expression of a lost southern Chinese talu or kata, you'll see this, which is very much like tan, but it's so it's an extreme chun. I need to really research to see if there is a Chinese name for that. The only thing I've heard it called in the Japanese arts is outwards block, and that makes no differentiation between what we call chun here and this, okay? So there should be a name for that. I don't know what it is. It's not in the core of Wing Chun because I really believe Nehanchi and Sun Chin have some connection to the root of Wing Chun because the crane connections, snake connections, but it didn't exist. It didn't survive in what I learned in Wing Chun, or what most popular Wing Chun is. So tan, jam, chun, pak, jerk, gum or gum. Okay, foot. Foot is an opening. Okay, it can be most commonly it'll be the horizontal abduction of the arm. Okay, it can be short chop, but if it has to go beyond here, then it uses the deltoid as opposed to just the tricep. Okay. Most of the time, if it goes past the shoulder line, you'll be turning. In Silam Tao, we see it expressed way out here. And for my mind, that is for when the guy is here, I've got to make contact, turn, okay? So it becomes a returning movement. It can be as short as here, just to sweep across the line. It could go a little further. It could be, in the form you see it here, and later you see, some people call this tutsao, okay? That is not a term that Ed used very much. I think I heard him use it twice, maybe. And I don't know if tut is this or if tut is this. I think it's the clearing here, okay? So, futsal, or not fuk, but foot. Sometimes you'll hear fuck. Is this, and Bilji, it's seen here, and in some man styles, instead of here, they'll be here, okay? I have no idea the application of this, but this is to stop someone who's moved past your center line and is doing a straight blast or has pressure on this side. You can move around them. So this could be futsal, this can be futsal, okay? So we already did tutsal because of that. Guan sao. Now, that's another complicated one. Sometimes you'll see this is guan, or this is guan, okay? To me, this is guan. I'm cultivating the grain, the rice, I'm pulling things up. This will stop about hip, okay? And you see how my fingers are turned inwards. Both my instructor and my father, who was an Aikido guy, both, I want to say left hand, this finger would never come back, okay? Because both of them caught kicks with this. And so if it's a kick, almost anytime your hands are open, they can be slightly cupped, okay? The Bujikan guys do a lot of this with this hand. I read a article Inside Kung Fu when I was like 16, 17, something like that, about elephant fists, and it's pretty neat. It's here, okay? So tusk, nose, head, all right? This would be okay for most of those applications, but the Bujikan guys are just here, okay? I would not be that rigid with it. I would be more cupped. But if you're blocking low kicks with your hands, something's already wrong. Your legs should deal with most kicks. So if you're dealing with a kick, I would recommend closing fist, or at least collapsing to a fist. Okay. But it can sweep low grabs away from you. It can sweep low punches away from you very easily. Bill. This camera's a little bit angled, so I might be distracted by B. I'm going to go to a half kneeling so you can see it straight on a little better. So Bill G is a thrusting finger. It can go lots of different ways. Bill Sao is not this. That's Bill G. It is not Jordan Uke, okay, which raises straight up. It's in between the two. It is both a forward and upwards energy using the ulna bone. Okay, here's Bill, here's Jordan Uke, okay? So not only is it hard block versus soft block, okay, it's not only is it hard block versus soft block, it is also a thrust forward versus a rise up. And then you can get into an argument with the two of those, anything I can do, you can do better type thing, or vice versa. A lot of times you'll see karate guys advocating for this Jordan Uke as being a carotid strike. Okay, that's completely legitimate. But so could Bill Sal. Okay, a defense against a rounded punch. Okay, both would take care of that. If it is like a meteor strike, a northern Shaolin, okay, which is kind of how Chuck Liddell hit people with his hands all wrapped up with his overhands. His overhands were more this loop. A lot of people are like, that wouldn't work, blah, blah, blah. I think you get it right. You can get it correct with a Jordan Uke. But I also think you could push it back with a Bill Sal. Okay. These are X blocks. I know there's a name for it. It's probably SUP, which means cross. SUP something Sal. But high and low X block, high and low V block. That is more Neihanchi and Sen Chin than Sulam Tao or Bill G. Let's see. Hyun Sao, very important. Hyun Sao. You'll hear me call it snake hand a lot. Some people call it circle hand. That's the primary thing that does is change the contact point or get away from grabs. All right, I'm gonna check some notes here. Look at other people's lists. See if I left in. Bill, Bong, Fook. Fook. You'll hear me call it mantis grab. Some styles call it cover hand. And they just put it on top of somebody's arm. Okay? But I actually grab with it. I'm a big advocate for the half clinch. When someone doesn't know how to get out of it, using it. But making sure you don't lock in on them, you're looking at the area. It can be used to pull attacks down. It's a sinking movement. Guan, Gum, Hyun. Jut. Lan Sao. Lan Sao. Lan Sao is very, very specific. Okay? It makes it's a 90-degree bend here, and my thumb could get into my armpit here. Okay, it's not here, and it's not. Can you see how it's flat to my chest? It's not here. It's flat. If it collapses here, then it's going to get messed up. If the contact point is not here on the center line, if they start to go this way, you've got to turn or change. It's primarily bar. It's a bar between my torso and the opponent's torso or the opponent's arm. But in some forms of Chum Kill, you'll see the bar arm stance shift. And to me, that's about getting rid of underhooks. Someone's underhooked and you turn it and you wrench their arm. So trying to think. Bar, it's very anti-grappling, but it can also be a strike. It could be a iron shield hitting to try to get some space. Man, Pak, Pan, tie. Crane block or high wrist block. Okay. Paint the fence. You're going to try to hit with either the back of the wrist, the top of the knuckles, or just make contact with this outer, and it's to sweep up the center line and move things to the outside. It can also be used to hit with the two big knuckles or the back of the wrist. Like I said, I should have made my own script, but I just trying to do this by memory. Bill, bong, fook, foot, gum, hewn, jut. Okay, lop. We need to talk about lop. Okay. Lop. You'll hear me sometimes call this going back to ski, which is what my first karate teacher called this ski position. And I've never heard anyone else say it, so it's kind of just stuck in my brain. But lop is pulling in, usually rotating down. There's another version of it where you pull up, so we see in our version of Nihonchi. But lop makes contact somehow. Tan, foot, tie, fook, okay? And then grab the hole with tiger's claws, grabbing into flesh, grabbing into clothing. I really advocate training outside with hoodies, jackets, that kind of thing sometimes. Something that I should be doing more with my students over the years. Ed was very big about it. Just so you have different clothing you're dealing with. If someone's wearing a t-shirt or nothing, no shirt, you've got to learn how to grab a hold of muscle and bone and bony prominences, okay? That's going to make grappling a lot more difficult than if someone, is wearing a hoodie or a jacket. Most of my students live in the South, so jackets are not going to be really common. And then people take off jackets to fight. It's a duel, okay? So, anyways, but notice something with both low and high on the lop. You want to try to rotate. Okay, if it's high, you want to rotate this way. That rotational force, you're using the big lat muscles. But for the top one, you end up using the rhomboids and the rear delts a little more. So this low is going to be stronger, but the high can pull at different angles. What you're trying to do is you're trying to turn the person so they can't use the other hand and they're in an awkward position. Even if I'm grabbing same, right? My ideal would be to my right hand to grab their right hand so their left hand's way over there. But even if okay, my battery's going low, so I'll wrap this up. Even if I'm grabbing same, where my right hand's grabbing their left hand, if I rotate, it will turn them more, okay? Getting them more off center line. I'm going to ignore me for a second. I'm going to run through, okay, so we talk about pop, cut, tonk sao. Tonk sao is lifting hand, okay? It's primarily an anti-grabbing thing. It's really good for getting out of some half clinch stuff, full clinch stuff, or stuff like that, but you can strike with it. With fook, sometimes you'll see me hit with fook. It's still a fook, it's just the strike of it. Those are gums, lawn, foot, bill, chun, jum, high, bill, bill G, bong, tan, chut, palm, low-lying palms, jerk hand, gum sao pinning hand, punch, lift, make. Yeah, so that's all the stuff Silam Tao, and most I think of what you'll end up doing in the other forms. You'll see for double hand blocks, this is the only one that's really in Silam Tao. The rest can be broken apart. Even that can be broken apart. Is the 2X block, high and low X block, high and low V block. This block is in some traditional karates, and for us, it's just this thing and a block in front here. Shield block, split block, wedge block, low wedge block. Low wedge block is probably the least common, but if someone's coming for a body grab, it can be useful. Wedge is 2 chuns, 2 guans, a guan and a jump, shield block, a guan and a chun with a split block. Okay, I think that's it. If you come across, you might come across any others, I'll add it. Thank you.